Happy Wednesday, witches, and welcome to this strange little book club that we've been doing since January, actually. I have been reading from the Grimoire of the Ungovernable for about an hour, and then we do an open Q&A where you can ask any questions that you want from not only myself, but also any of the other Unbound witches of Bright and Dark that show up. The Unbound are specially trained witches. They are experts in aiding neurodivergent magical practitioners into repairing their relationship with their lives, themselves, and their magic. And we're talking like years and years and years and years of training to do it. And they've been walking the path of a witch born of shadow for a minimum of like 5 years. So there. I'm gonna just jump right into it. I do have an announcement to make. Once we get through the grimoire, I think we're a little over halfway at this point. Once we get through with the grimoire, we are not going to continue reading every Wednesday. We're gonna let it sit because I'm gonna be turning my attention back toward working with new brooms and in helping our coven expand their practice. And I'm very excited about that, actually. I'm hell bent on seeing what would happen if I take a bunch of neurodivergent magical practitioners and give them the tools to their own unbinding. It's going to be great. I'm very excited about it. All right, here we go. I will not be able to see your questions or interactions. Ocean is our mod god for the day. So thank you, Ocean. They will be taking care of you. If you have any questions, again, just go ahead and put those in the comments, and Ocean's going to keep track of that. Okay, we are at reimagining the boundaries of possibility. I'm going to cough like away from the mic first and caffeinate a little bit. As we do. All right. The magical practice of a witch born of shadow is the art of weaving intention, intuition, and imagination into something tangible or sometimes delightfully intangible. And we're actually really fracking good at it, often extraordinarily so. But here's the catch: many of us have been taught to keep our creativity on a leash. We're told to color inside the lines, to follow instructions, and to leave the wild experiments to the experts. That mindset doesn't belong here. A witch born of shadow doesn't need to ask for permission to create. They recognize that creation is their nature. This tradition is about breaking illusions. It's about reimagining what's possible when you step outside the rules you were taught and be brave enough to let your curiosity lead the way. Whether you're crafting a spell, designing a ritual, or just making your life a little more magical, creativity is the spark that ignites your path. And the best part? You just need to give yourself space to explore, to shift your sense of authority from above to within. For some witches, that relationship with creativity means building elaborate altars with intricate correspondences and layers of symbolism. For others, it's about grabbing whatever's nearby: a pebble, a scrap of paper, a half burned birthday candle, and meeting the magic in the moment. Neither approach is better or worse. They're simply different expressions of your unique relationship with magic. And let's be honest, the most effective tools in witchcraft are the ones that mean something to you, not the ones with the fanciest price tag. A $300 crystal won't outshine the pebble you picked up on a walk that reminds you of home. Let's talk about the fear of getting it wrong. This path isn't about following a script. It's about exercising the ability to improvise. Having such a deeply meaningful relationship with your connection to magic that you don't need reference books or special apps to figure out how to adapt to unexpected catalysts. If your spell doesn't look like something out of a movie, good. That means it's yours. Your creativity doesn't have to be about meeting expectations. It's about breaking them. So make a mess. Try something weird. If it feels exciting, you're probably doing it right. See what happens and let the unexpected be a part of the magic. And then there's the matter of failure. Dun, dun, dun. Let's face it, it's going to happen. Probably a lot, actually. That spell you were sure might work, might go. Okay. That spell you were sure would work might go sideways on you. That ritual you spent hours planning might get rained out. But here's the thing: what you may consider failure is a valuable part of the process. Every stumble is an opportunity to learn more about your magic, to refine, to grow. This practice isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about embracing them as a part of the journey. Perceived failure is just another teacher, albeit an occasionally annoying one. One of the most powerful tools here is actually play. Playfulness invites you to approach your practice with curiosity and wonder, to experiment without fear of judgment. What happens if you mix glitter into your spell jar? What if you write your intentions as a poem or a song? What if your ritual involves dancing around your living room in pajamas with your favorite fellow weirdos? The possibilities are endless because this path isn't confined by tradition. It's fueled by imagination. And honestly, if your practice isn't at least a little bit fun, what's the point? This approach to witchcraft also invites collaboration, not just with other witches, but with the world around you. Nature is endlessly inventive, and the more you work with it, the more inspiration you'll find. The wind might whisper of your infinite potential. Even the weeds growing through cracks in the pavement have something to teach about resilience and beauty in unlikely places. This practice is just as much about finding the magic in what's already here. For example, consider how many cultures have used what was available to them to shape meaningful rituals and practices, from indigenous traditions that honor every part of the land to modern day witches who reclaim urban spaces. Our creativity is a bridge to deeper connection. At its core, this path is a celebration of possibility. It's a reminder that you are not limited by the rules others have imposed, that your practice can be as vibrant and dynamic as you are. As a matter of fact, maybe it's supposed to be. So grab your glitter, your half burned candles, your favorite rock, whatever calls to you, and start creating. Because in both life and magic, when you allow your imagination a place at the table where decisions about your incarnation are made, the restrictions disappear and chaos becomes infinite possibility. Shaping reality. The act of shaping reality is both a privilege and a responsibility. It's the recognition that you are not a passive observer in this world, but an active participant in its perpetuation. Every intention you set, every action you take ripples outward into the vast web of existence, influencing not just your life, the lives and energies around you. This isn't threefold dogma or do no harm, I'm getting at. It's more like if you choose to toss a stone into a pond, the ripples might start small, but they inevitably spread farther than you can imagine. The impact of your action may have had under the surface of the water. The impact your action may have had under the surface of the water may never be known by human perception, but it still exists. Here's the truth. You're already shaping your reality, whether you realize it or not. From the moment we're born, we're indoctrinated into systems that tell us how the world works, what's possible, and what we should value. These beliefs become the invisible framework for how we navigate life. Without questioning them, we perpetuate the same cycles, recreating the reality we were taught to accept, even if we ourselves were rejected by it. The narratives you've inherited are the seeds of the world you're unconsciously co creating. Influencing reality begins with recognition of your authority. A declaration of intention is more than a wish or a hope. It's a clear, focused acknowledgement of what you want to bring into being. It's as if it, think of it as a thread you weave into the tapestry of the universe, guiding its patterns toward your desired outcome. But intention alone isn't enough. The most powerful magic requires action, embodiment, real, tangible steps that anchor your desires in the physical world. Without action, the intention remains a daydream, lovely, but inert in the physical world. To consciously shape your reality, you must first deconstruct the stories that were handed to you. These stories dictate what you believe about yourself, others, and the nature of existence. Maybe you were taught that success means constant productivity, that love must look a certain way, or that your intuition is an oppressive source of suffering. Until you examine and challenge those beliefs, they'll continue to shape your reality by default on a tragic autopilot. Deconstructing these beliefs is an act of rebellion against the systems that benefit from keeping you small. You can start by getting clear on your intention. What do you truly want? Not what society says you should want, not what you think will make others happy, but what sets your soul on fire. Have you ever even allowed yourself to consider it? These don't have to be grand gestures. Small, consistent choices often create the most profound changes. It's like planting a seed. A little water, a little sunlight, and a lot of patience can yield remarkable growth. As witches born of shadow, we're actively dismantling our inherited obsession with control. It's about sincere collaboration. You're not forcing the universe to bend to your will, you're working with it, weaving your desires into its pattern while remaining open to its wisdom. And I'm going to be real honest with you. Most of the time, it's more about getting the fuck out of the way. Sometimes the universe will surprise you. Sometimes it will say no or not yet. That's not failure. It's an invitation to adjust your course, to refine your intention, or to trust that something better is on its way. Flexibility in expectations is your ally in this process. Shaping reality also requires a willingness to confront the barriers that hold you back. These might be external, oppressive systems, toxic or incompatible relationships, or unjust circumstances. But more often, they're internal. Fear, doubt, perfectionism, and the stories we tell ourselves about what's possible can be the most significant obstacles. A witch born of shadow learns to face these barriers with compassion and courage, transforming them into stepping stones rather than walls. Imagine these barriers as shadows on the cave wall. They're not as solid as they seem when you bring them into the light. The practice of influencing your reality is as much about self discovery as it is about manifestation. As you set intentions and take action, you'll learn more about your values, your desires, and your limits. When our internal system is aligned and well supported, we begin to engage with power and intention in ways that ripple through not only our lives, but the greater collective experience. This alignment is the cornerstone of the path of a witch born of shadow. Unlike many traditional paths, where rituals and tools often feel prescriptive, this practice centers on the internal collaboration of mind, body, and spirit as the source of magical influence. It's about trust, compassion, and the willingness to show up for ourselves and each other. This isn't witchcraft as a set of rules handed down through dogma or tradition. It's an invitation to rebuild trust in your own inner guidance, to listen to the whispers of your intuition, and to create a practice that evolves as you do. When the mind, body, and spirit are aligned, the external world begins to mirror that harmony. You, you start to see opportunities for connection, paths for collaboration, and catalysts for transformation everywhere. The ripple effect of internal alignment. Think of internal alignment as tuning an instrument. When your internal systems are discordant, when your body's needs are dismissed, your mind is clouded by unprocessed emotions, or your spirit feels neglected, your magical influence becomes unfocused, like it's trying to play a symphony with half the orchestra missing. But when each aspect of your being is heard, respected, and supported, your authority takes on a resonance that is impossible to ignore. This resonance is what makes the practice of a witch born of shadow unique. Unlike traditions that may prioritize external tools or rigid rituals, this approach places the emphasis on the practitioner's internal state. Power then becomes an extension of your alignment, a way to engage with the world not as a fractured individual, but as a whole, integrated being. The work you do within radiates outward, shaping your interactions, your intentions, and your impact on the greater collective. Not your grandma's witchcraft. Traditional witchcraft is often presented to emphasize external actions such as spells, rituals, and correspondences as the primary mechanisms of change. While these practices have their place, the philosophy of a witch born of shadow flips the script a bit. Here, the practice begins with your internal, with the deeply personal work of understanding, supporting, and aligning your inner systems. The external expressions of magic, spells, rituals, and talismans become amplifications of the work already being done within. For example, in many traditional practices, a protection spell might involve creating a physical ward with herbs, crystals, and symbols. For a witch born of shadow, that same protection begins within, through identifying what boundaries need to be set, listening to the fears or vulnerabilities within your system, and collaborating with your body, mind, and spirit to establish a sense of safety. The external ritual becomes a reflection of the internal work, not a substitute for it. This philosophy also moves away from binary notions of light and dark, embracing the full spectrum of existence. Modern witchcraft often places a heavy emphasis on purification or banishment, framing certain energies or emotions as inherently negative. In contrast, a witch born of shadow understands that so called dark parts of ourselves, our fears, our anger, and our grief, are not to be eradicated, but understood. These shadows hold wisdom, and by bringing them into collaboration with our internal systems, we unlock deeper levels of expansion and empowerment. When you begin influencing the polarity of your incarnation on purpose, your authority becomes more than a tool. It becomes a way of life. Each choice, each intention, each moment of alignment contributes to the broader journey of reunion. This is the ultimate goal of the Witchborn of Shadow. Not to dominate or control, but to live in deliberate collaboration with the self, the world, and the cosmos. Your magic isn't limited to the altar or of the full moon. It's in how you nurture your body when they ask for rest, how you hold space for your emotions without judgment, how you listen to the quiet wisdom of your spirit. It's in the way you interact with others, the boundaries you set, the way you challenge oppressive systems through your very existence. This is the magic of alignment. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, the mundane into the sacred. The evolution of your practice. We can totally play a drinking game if you guys want to while I read this. Every time I drink, you drink water too. What do you guys think about that? What I'm thinking is I'm probably going to forget about it, but we'll see. It'll be fun. It'll be great, guys. The evolution of your practice. This tradition is dynamic, evolving alongside you as you grow and change. It's not about following a clearly defined path, but about learning to forge your own, guided by the principles of internal collaboration, cosmic connection, and with the enthusiastic support of your community. As you deepen your alignment, you'll find that your magic becomes more intuitive, more personal, and significantly more powerful. You'll no longer need to look outside yourself for validation or authority because you'll recognize that your most potent power comes from within. This is what sets the Witchborn of Shadow apart. The understanding that your power doesn't come from external sources, but from the deliberate, intentional alignment of your internal systems. When you honor this alignment, you're not just influencing your own life, you're contributing to the collective evolution, shaping the polarity of the cosmos with every choice you make. So, as you step onto this path, remember, your practice is not about perfection or performance. It's about authenticity, collaboration, and the courage to explore the full spectrum of your existence. You are the advocate for your internal system, the co creator of your reality, and the wielder of a medicine that is uniquely, powerfully yours. And that, my dear cousin, is where the real revolution begins. The structure. I'm going to cough. Fun. Maybe I need a different beverage. Switch from iced coffee to tea. Let us gather, O sweet cousins, and align as one in spirit. Let us sing our song of magic to inspire all who hear it. Enter now this circle. There is much that we can do to change the world forever, and it all begins in you. Here's the thing about my relationship with witchcraft. It didn't descend from the heavens fully formed, wrapped in ancient parchment with step by step instructions for turning existential crises into enlightenment. In other words, it was messy. But that mess, that's where the most transformative magic lives. Like self-discovery itself, it's unpredictable, raw, and above all, personal. It's less about getting it right and more about showing up again and again and again to stumble, to learn, and to occasionally nail something so profoundly that it sends shivers up your spine. If the first part of this grimoire was a declaration, a call to dig through the layers of societal conditioning, to question everything you've been told about yourself and the world, this part is the response. It's where we get to the so what. What do you do with all that self awareness? How do you turn a radical reconnection to your truth into spells, rituals, and ceremonies that actually work? How do you structure a practice that not only aligns with your nature, but also amplifies it? Because theory without action is just another kind of stagnation. This is the part where we dig into the nitty gritty, breaking down what the practice on this path can look like. From crafting personalized ceremonies to the art of spell casting and spell crafting, this is your sandbox. Think of this as the hands-on portion of the course, where you get to experiment, make mistakes, and maybe even catch your sleeve on fire. Been there. But don't worry, no one's grading you, and the stakes aren't life or death. Well, unless you're summoning something you don't understand, which I don't recommend, by the way. Crafting your practice. Let's start with the truth that might make you cringe. Even your raging ADHD thrives in positive containment. Some sort of structure to hold all the bits together in a way that makes sense and gets you the results you want. Yes, I see you, my intuitive go with the flow witches who are wincing at the word structure. But bear with me. Defining the purpose and cadence of your practice isn't about chaining your creativity to a wall and turning your rituals into rigid, joyless tasks. It's about building the support your system needs so that you can show up in your life in a way that you're proud of. Even a loose structure allows your relationship with magic to breathe, grow, and thrive without losing its focus. This foundation of balance and intention transforms your practice from a rigid set of rules into a dynamic tool for aligning with your authentic self and living on purpose. It's not here to dictate how you should be. It's here to keep you from getting caught up in all this. It's here to keep you from getting caught up in some bullshit imposter syndrome when you're staring at your altar, wondering if you even doing it right. For instance, let's say you're building a ritual to mark a personal milestone. The intentional structure of your practice gives you a starting point, a framework to build within. It's an outline of what you need to do, what tools you'll use, and what intention you're working toward. It's the thread that ties all those elements together into something cohesive and meaningful. Structure for freedom. Here's the paradox: the more structure you have, the more freedom you gain. I know that might not make sense yet, but let me brew. When you begin to recognize that your potential is limitless, structure provides the container that allows your creativity and intuition to flourish, transforming limitation into liberation. We have been so deeply indoctrinated to navigate our lives within preordained structures that we actually prefer to be told what to do. This is a tradition in which you are the one who defines how you interact with magic. We can learn a lot from each other, but our paths are uniquely our own. When you know the rules of your practice, you're free to bend, break, or rewrite them as needed. When you create a framework for your practice that supports the needs of your system, the structure in your practice isn't about control, it's about clarity. It's about creating a container for your process, a foundation strong enough to hold the weight of your wholeness. For example, I don't perform big magical workings after sunset because at this point in my life, my vitality is at its peak from sunrise. Isn't within my nature. I also don't perform divination after sunset, not because it's forbidden in some way, but because this balance between structure and freedom is where some deep magic happens. It's where you stop worrying about performance and start trusting yourself and your system. Because at the end of the day, when your practice is rooted in finding alignment, it's about creating a relationship with magic that feels authentic, empowering, and unapologetically yours. Discipline and devotion, a pathway to the sacred. Let's be honest. If you're a neurodivergent witch, the words discipline and devotion probably make you cringe. It's not your fault. Years of religious trauma and being told exactly what to do, how to feel, and who to be have left many of us recoiling at the idea of surrendering to anything. Add in the fact that most of us bristle at being told what to do, even by ourselves. High five to my fellow PDA presenting autistic mystics. And you've got a recipe for side-eyeing the concept of a devotional practice altogether. But what if we reclaimed it, not as a rigid obligation, but as a relationship? One that's expansive, supportive, and totally free of angry, switch swinging, cross clutching nuns. Here's the thing about devotion to your practice: it's not about kneeling at some cosmic altar begging for scraps of approval. It's about making a commitment and start showing up for yourself and your relationship with life in whatever way feels right for you. It's about taking the devotion that was betrayed by institutions, by systems, by people who demanded more than they gave, and redirecting it towards something that actually nourishes you. A devotional practice doesn't have to be a commandment. What if instead it were a choice, one that's yours to define? But reclaiming your spiritual exploration is more than rewriting what it looks like. It's also about redefining your relationship with what you consider sacred. Sacred doesn't have to mean lofty or untouchable. It can be the things that ground you, inspire you, or remind you of your own power. Maybe the sacred is in the soil under your feet, the stars overhead, or the laughter you share with a friend. By reclaiming your relationship with devotion, you're not just reshaping how you engage with your practice, you're reshaping how you engage with the world and what you hold as sacred within it. Trusting your inner compass. At some point in this magical journey, you're going to hit a wall of doubt. We all do. Not only do we start there, but we tend to circle back every now and then. You'll wonder if you're doing it right, if the spirits are actually listening, or if you've just been talking to an empty room while your cat judges you. Let me save you the existential spiral. There is no right way to explore your relationship with the unseen. Witchcraft doesn't have a standardized test, and there's no cosmic grading system. If you're waiting for someone else's approval to validate your practice, brace yourself, cousin. It's you that you're actually needing. Here's the thing: the mainstream world has us convinced that there's only one way to do anything, and every other way is obviously wrong. That's how it maintains control, by setting impossible standards and shaming anyone who doesn't meet them. The idea of perfection is a scam, a shiny carrot dangling just out of reach, designed to keep you distracted. So here's the dig: being taught to chase perfection doesn't just exhaust you, it perpetuates the mainstream influence by making you doubt your inherent worth. That little voice in your head that says your way is just making things up, you're not. It's your neurodivergent pattern recognition running in hyperdrive, spotting connections and weaving meaning in ways that most people wouldn't even notice. That doesn't make it less magical. It makes it fucking real. You have been conditioned to dismiss it as nonsense because your intuition is one of the greatest threats to a control-based system. Trusting yourself changes everything. The legacy of disconnection. For which is born of shadow, our lineage often feels more like a fractured mirror than a clear roadmap. This fragmented heritage reflects the systemic disconnection from spirituality and the sacred, a disconnection rooted in histories of colonization and control. Reclaiming these scattered pieces and redefining their meaning is an act of both resistance and self-reclamation, one of finding purpose and authenticity within the cracks. As descendants of colonizers, we don't have a cohesive structure handed down to us for repairing our relationship with our lives. That was the cost we paid for participation in whiteness. We don't have ancient ceremonies passed along in whispers or elders guiding us through rites of passage. Instead, we inherit the scars of disconnection from the land, from the sacred, and even from ourselves. Choosing to trust your intuition is a part of breaking this curse. It requires finally stepping away from the systems that enforce conformity and control. By tuning into your inner compass, you dismantle the internalized narratives that tell you your instincts aren't valid. Trusting yourself becomes an act of self-sovereignty and an assertion of your right to define your own path. It's a process of finding your way back to the magic of your lineage, not by recreating what was lost, but by forging something authentic. Your intuition becomes your compass, guiding you through the uncharted territory of your practice. It's about listening to the quiet voice within that says this feels right, even when the Western world screams otherwise. Listening to your intuition. Building an intuitive practice starts with listening. Not in the polite smile and nod way we're conditioned to respond to authority, but in the clumsy, embodied way of actually paying attention to your own needs and desires. What feels nourishing? What sparks your curiosity? What drains you faster than a trip to Costco? These aren't trivial questions. They're the foundation of your path to purpose. Your intuition engages through curiosity, not rigid rules. This reflects the earlier exploration of flexible structures and personalized practices, where the framework exists to empower, not restrict. By leaning into curiosity, you build a practice that evolves with you, rooted in authenticity and creative freedom. It thrives on experimentation and play. For a witch born of shadow, their practice isn't about following a script. It's about creating a relationship. The more you actively engage with your intuition, the stronger that relationship becomes. And if it turns out that your idea flops spectacularly, Congrats. You've just learned something new about your path. Write it down and date your shit. Navigate the noise. Navigating the noise. Of course, your intuition isn't always loud and clear. Sometimes it's a whisper you can barely hear over the noise of your daily life. That's okay. This isn't a muscle you strengthen with resistance and force, it's a practice of noticing and allowing space. Meditation, journaling, and spending time in nature can help quiet the static and tune into that inner frequency. But don't think for a second that your intuition has to be flawless to be valid. Even if you end up on an unexpected side quest, you're still learning, still growing, still practicing. And here's a secret: a practice in witchcraft that doesn't make sense to anyone else is just as valid as the most elaborate high ceremonial magic. Maybe tarot cards feel like a foreign language, but the patterns in your morning coffee grounds are crystal clear. Maybe chanting feels awkward, but singing to your plants makes you feel connected. Your practice doesn't need to look like anyone else's. It just needs to feel true to you. Reclaiming your authority. Ugh. Your intuition is the bridge between what you know and what you sense, between the seen and the unseen, making it a vital tool in resisting societal and systemic oppression. It connects you to a deeper truth that challenges the narratives designed to suppress your power and agency, allowing you to reclaim both your inner authority and your right to define the sacred on your own terms. It's the quiet thread of curiosity that leads you back to yourself, no matter how many times you've been taught to doubt it. And when you choose to trust that inner compass, you're also dismantling the systems of control that sought to silence it. These systems sever witches from their lineage and spirituality, reinforcing the disconnection that makes it easier to impose external control. By convincing you to doubt your instincts and dismiss your intuition, they rob you of the power to reclaim your sacred heritage and forge your own spiritual path. The everyday alchemy of being a witch. For witches born of shadow, though, our magical practice isn't confined to moonlit rituals or elaborate ceremonies. It's woven into the fabric of our daily life, hiding in plain sight. This tradition is about remembering the revolutionary power in choosing to engage on purpose in the mundane and wholeheartedly making it mean something. It's about realizing that practicing magic doesn't have to wait for the right moment. It's already here in how you relate to the ebb and flow of your existence. It's more about reclaiming the everyday as sacred, where even the smallest daily interactions can become the catalyst for profound transformation. The first step in this path is recognizing that the everyday is sacred, or it can be, if you choose. Washing dishes isn't just a chore, it's a meditation ritual, scrubbing away the day's distortions and making room for clarity. Brewing coffee isn't just a morning routine, it's a moment to pause, to center yourself in the present, and prepare for what's to come. Even folding laundry can be a magical act, infusing your clothes with respect and care as you prepare them to wrap around your body. When you approach these tasks with mindfulness, they become opportunities to weave the power of your presence into the rhythms of your life. Another key element of this path is adaptability. Life can be unpredictable, and your practice can support you through it. Some days you'll have the time and energy for a full ritual with all the trimmings. Other days, your spell work might be a whispered intention as you stir your tea, or a fleeting moment of gratitude as you step outside and feel the sun on your skin. It can be you simply choosing to take time out to blow some fucking bubbles on the porch, because if you have to spend one more second in that house with those kids, this is about showing up with whatever you have, however you can, and with the most compassion and patience you can muster. You deserve it. Even the simplest acts done with care hold profound power. At its heart, this path is a return to the present moment. By grounding yourself in the now, you align your everyday actions with your spiritual path, creating a deeper connection to the sacred and a more sincere engagement with your lived experience. It's a reminder that you don't need to wait for the perfect conditions to connect to your craft. Power isn't some distant destination, it's here, now, waiting for you to engage with it. So light that incense, whisper that spell, and let your everyday life become the canvas for your most powerful magical working. This path isn't about escaping reality, it's about embracing your place in it. It's about taking the raw material of your life, the awkwardness, the joy, the mundane, and remembering that it is something sacred. The details of intention and action might come later, but this is where it begins, in noticing, in choosing, and in showing up. So the next time you wash a dish or fold a shirt, you needn't dismiss it as meaningless. Bring your awareness to the act, infuse it with care, and let it become a part of your practice. Your life is your altar. Your actions are your spells, and your presence is your power. It's a reminder that the mundane holds transformative potential when approached with mindfulness and intention. The everyday alchemy of being a witch born of shadow is more than your journey in finding magic. It's about realizing you've been holding it all along. Click, 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 Dorothy. It's time to wake the fuck up. Grimoires and data collection. Let's get one thing straight. I don't always feel safe putting my thoughts on paper. For much of my life, this sort of vulnerability felt like a liability, a crack in the armor that could be exploited. Writing down my innermost thoughts felt less like an act of liberation and more like laying the foundation for my own undoing. For Witches Born of Shadow, though, data collection is the cornerstone of our craft. Tracking and documenting how your personal system engages with your life and magic can uncover profound truths about the beliefs and internalized systems that still hold sway over you. This practice becomes a powerful tool in identifying and dismantling those systems, offering a means to reclaim agency and align your actions with your authentic self. These unseen threads, often remnants of our societal conditioning or ancestral legacies, influence how we engage with our magic and ourselves. By taking the time to record your experiences, emotions, and magical workings, you begin to map the landscape of your inner world, identifying the patterns and cycles that shape your lived experiences. And the best place to start? A humble 3-ring binder. Forget the pressure of a Pinterest perfect grimoire with gilded pages and elaborate calligraphy. A binder offers the freedom to shuffle, reorganize, and tab your pages as your practice evolves. It's a living document, not a fixed artifact, but something far greater. Engaging with your grimoire gives it life. It becomes an ally in your practice, not just a collection of notes or a tool to be used. This book is a sentient guide and portal to the past versions of yourself, holding space for your growth, transformation, and the wisdom you've collected along the way. Start by documenting what feels most natural. Maybe it's a list of the tools that you use most often in your practice, or a log of the moon phases and how they align with your energy. Perhaps you jot down the details of a spell you cast or a ritual that resonated deeply. Over time, these entries become a treasure trove of insights. By revisiting them, you can begin to identify patterns, like which emotions amplify your magic, how external events influence your energy, and how the subtle ways your intuition guides your decisions. This practice transforms your grimoire into more than a simple journal. It becomes a mirror reflecting the interplay between your inner and outer worlds. This sort of data collection also reveals the hidden dynamics of internalized systems of control. For example, documenting your reactions to specific rituals or the resistance you feel towards certain practices can illuminate the voices of perfectionism, doubt, or shame that have been ingrained by societal conditioning. These revelations are not signs of failure, but opportunities for growth. By naming and understanding these influences, you can begin to work the work of dismantling them, reclaiming your autonomy, and aligning your practice with your authentic self. That said, the most important thing is setting yourself up for success by keeping the process simple and meaningful to you. If the thought of a standard 3-ring binder gives you traumatic flashbacks to school days, ditch it. Use a sketchbook, a digital notebook, or anything that feels right for your practice. If you're drawn to the idea of a binder, but you want to make it personal, craft a custom slipcover for it and fill it with parchment paper or pages that inspire you. The more this book reflects your personality and magic, the more it will empower you. Your grimoire isn't just a tool, it's an extension of your power and a living companion in your journey. Your grimoire doesn't need to be organized from the start. In fact, the beauty of a 3-ring binder or any flexible medium is its adaptability. You can divide it into sections that make sense to you, like spells, rituals, personal reflections, or even doodles and sketches that capture your emotional state. Add tabs for quick reference, or let it remain chaotic and organic. The key is to create a system that supports your growth without constraining it. Your grimoire is yours to shape, and its structure should reflect your perspective and the unique rhythm of your practice. By engaging with this process of documentation, you're not just recording your journey, you're reclaiming the power to understand and shape it. Each entry becomes a dialogue between your present self, your future self, and a breadcrumb trail that leads you back to the core of your experience when life feels overwhelming. This practice is invaluable when using intuition and self reflection as guiding forces in your practice, ensuring that each step of your journey is informed by the wisdom and insight gained along the way. And when you look back on these pages, you'll see more than just a record of spells and rituals. You'll see the story of a person who dared to step into their power, question the systems that sought to diminish them, and forge a path uniquely their own. The clarity and insights gained from your grimoire enhance your ability to engage with your life in ways that create expansion and liberation. By documenting the intersections of your magic in daily life, you create a foundation that supports the intentional polarizing toward connection and collaboration, dismantling systems rooted in control and dominance. So grab whatever medium feels right to you, a binder, a sketchbook, or a tablet, and let it become a sanctuary for your practice. Make it as expressive, vibrant, and unapologetically you as your magic itself. Add drawings, notes, stickers, or pressed flowers. Infuse it with your energy, your quirks, and your style. Your grimoire is more than a tool. It's a sentient portal, an ally, and a testament to the sacred, complicated brilliance of your journey. It embodies the transformative power of reclaiming purpose and redefining sacredness, serving as a living connection to your magic and the evolving story of your return home. Rituals, ceremonies, and spellcrafts. Oh my. When I first stumbled into the world of witchcraft, I was enthralled by its glamour. The spells, the rituals, the promises of bending reality to my will. My teenage self envisioned a life of swirling capes, flickering candles, and whispered incantations that could stop time, summon storms, or at least get me out of a bad math test. But if I'm being honest, what lured me wasn't the magic itself. It was the promise of being considered valuable and powerful. I was desperate for something, anything that could make me feel less like a feather in a hurricane. Witchcraft, in those early days, was about reclaiming something I didn't have words for yet: my agency, my strength, my voice. Magic was my armor, my sword, and my battle cry all at once. It was my way of saying to the world, "You will not break me again." But as it turns out, your relationship with magic has a way of surprising you. What began as a desperate grab for control evolved into something far richer and more meaningful. It revealed a path to self discovery, urging me to dismantle the layers of control and conditioning that had disconnected me from my own essence. This connection wasn't just the world around me, but with the truth buried within. A reclamation of the spirituality and agency that had been overshadowed by external forces. It wasn't about winning a cosmic tug of war, but about learning to weave the spiritual into the physical on purpose. In those early days, I thought of magic like a recipe. Follow the steps, add the ingredients, and voila, your life changes. The right incantation, the perfect tools, and a moon phase calculator were all I thought I needed to get it right. But over time, I began to realize that my power doesn't live in the words or the candles. It lives in me. Magic happens when your mind, physical body, and energetic body are all present and in alignment, working in harmony and with profound presence. This concept finds surprising allies in modern psychology, neuroscience, quantum physics, and biology. Psychology and neuroscience reveal that practices like mindfulness, visualization, and intentional action activate neural pathways that enhance emotional regulation and cognitive focus. Quantum physics suggests that our intentions and attention may influence energy fields on a micro level, echoing the idea that our focused presence can create ripples of transformation. Biology supports this through the concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and rewire itself, demonstrating that deliberate practice changes not only behavior, but the structure of our physical and energetic systems. For neurodivergent, queer, and disabled individuals, this alignment becomes even more profound. Engaging with witchcraft as a spiritual practice provides a space to rewrite narratives of exclusion, trauma, and systemic oppression. Modern research into trauma recovery emphasizes the role of rituals and grounding techniques in rebuilding a sense of agency and safety. When we combine these insights with the inherently adaptable and creative nature of witchcraft, the result is a powerful means of physical, emotional, and mental rehabilitation. Spells and rituals, I've learned, are less like recipes and more like poetry, expressions of perspective and creativity that mirror the unique essence of the practitioner. Each spell carries the signature of its creator, a testament to the personal journey and imaginative spirit that make witchcraft a deeply personal art. They're about intentional engagement, practice, and purpose. These elements build the foundation for weaving spiritual energy into the physical world. The more we choose to align fully in purpose and presence with the wholeness of our incarnated experience, the greater our magical influence in the physical world. When I stopped obsessing over getting it right and started focusing on building relationships with myself, with the elements, and with the universe, everything changed. My practice became less about wielding power and more about creating harmony, a shift that directly challenges societal narratives around dominance and control. It became less about keeping the bad out and more about inviting the meaningful in. Here's a truth that hit me like a brick in the best way possible. This power is all about the emotional state it creates. The true power of a spell isn't in the words or in the herbs. It's in what they mean to you. If witchcraft is an act of transformation, then feelings and emotions are its raw material. Now, when I create a ritual or ceremony, my focus isn't on whether I have the right crystal or the perfect chant. It's on how those elements make me feel. Sensory experience is the bridge between intention and manifestation. Using our emotions, sensations, memories, and personal correspondences within these steps engages our entire system on a deeper level. The more meaningful these elements are to us, the more powerful the influence becomes. Don't get me twisted though. I love a dramatic altar setup as much as the next witch. Give me a candlelit room, an eerie chant, and some smoke to waft dramatically through the air, and I'm in my element. But here's the thing, none of that is strictly necessary. The tools, the drama, the aesthetic, they're all just ways to focus your energy, to direct and amplify your attention. The deepest, most powerful magic happens inside you. You could perform the most potent spell of your life while sitting in sweatpants with nothing but a glass of water and a heartfelt intention. The key isn't the tools, it's in the alignment of your mind, body, and energetic presence. It's the emotional resonance, belief, and purposeful presence that make the magical working effective. The tools and drama are like set dressing. They can enhance the experience, but they're not the source of the power. The deeper I dive into this path, the more I realize that our most potent power is in learning to alchemize the raw materials of our lives, our emotions, our challenges, our desires into something meaningful. It's about allowing ourselves to practice trusting the process, even when it's messy, even when it doesn't look like the version of witchcraft we grew up imagining. This ongoing practice of weaving the spiritual into the physical fosters expansion, making this ability an intrinsic part of our natural state of being. Rituals, ceremonies, and spells provide structure in a seemingly unstable world. They offer a way to channel our emotions and energy into something tangible, to create a sense of agency when life feels overwhelming. They also teach us to surrender, because while we can set intentions and take action, the outcome is often beyond our comprehension. Power rooted in connection reminds us that we can actually trust the process and let go of the need to micromanage every detail and to allow the universe to work in its own mysterious ways. Over the years, I've come to see rituals and ceremonies as something much more profound than a checklist of magical actions. They're like anchors, grounding me in the now while also giving space to move toward transformation. Each ritual I craft meets a specific need, whether it's releasing the conditioned beliefs I've been lugging around, marking a pivotal transition, or diving into the depths of my evolution. These rituals are mirrors that reflect the deeper truths of who we are and where we are on our journey. They provide a lens for self reflection, revealing the beliefs, emotions, and intentions shaping our path. In this way, rituals become acts of reclaiming agency, empowering us to engage with our inner and outer worlds intentionally and authentically. They show me who I am in this moment and offer a way to engage with that truth in an expansive way. They create opportunities for alignment, a sense of harmony between my inner landscape and the outer world, and that's a magical shit in its purest form. So, as I share the structures for my spells, rituals, and ceremonies with you, my hope is that they'll light the way for your own practice. The most transformative spell you'll ever cast won't be the one with the trendiest ingredients or the most elaborate setup. It will be the one that feels so deeply raw and aligned with your truth that it ripples through every layer of your being. I'm I'm going to keep going. Are we cool with that? Because we're going to get into tools, things like that, unless you guys have some burning questions. I'm going to keep going. Usually when we get to this point and we ask this question, should I keep reading? Most of the time you guys are like, yeah, get it. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to keep going. Altars and instruments. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, didn't we already establish that magic doesn't need fancy tools or elaborate setups? You're absolutely right. The power of these elements isn't in their necessity, it's in their meaning, their story, and the relationship we form with them. They're not just objects, they're extensions of our experience, woven into the fabric of how we bring the internal into the external, the spirit into the physical. Magical workings often begin as something internal, a whisper of intuition, an emotional resonance, or the spark of an intention. Let's be real. We also live in a physical world. And while it's entirely possible to cast a spell using nothing but your presence and focus, astral temple work it is some potent shit. There's something undeniably transformative about bringing that engagement into the material dimension. Altars, tools, and ceremonial garments become the co creators of the magic we weave, each with their own essence and voice, amplifying the resonance of our intentions. They take the ephemeral and give it form, allowing us to layer, customize, and engage with our magic through all of our senses. An altar becomes a map of our intention, bringing our workings into the physical space. A tool becomes a collaborator of our purpose, amplifying the energy we direct through it, becoming increasingly undiluted with every engagement. Altars as companions. Every altar I create begins with a conversation. It's not just about choosing a surface, though. It's about forming a partnership. Whether it's a desk corner or a rock in the woods, I pause to acknowledge its spirit and ask, will you join me in this working? I actually explain what I'm intending to do while allowing my system to experience their response. That willingness matters. Without informed consent, how is the altar more than just furniture to you? Once the altar agrees, it feels welcoming, exciting, peaceful, accepting. I begin crafting its form and layout based on the intention and how the altar will be worked or activated by engaging with it. I didn't learn this by following some mystical rule book handed down from the ancients. It's been more about creating something that feels in tune with me and the energies of what I'm calling in or crafting. The objects I place on the altar aren't chosen at random, unless that's the intention. Each component has a story, a spirit, a unique relationship. Together, these pieces weave a space that creates an environment conducive to the magic I'm working. It's like building a team. Each element has a role to play, and together they create something greater than the sum of their parts. Just like your internal experience, huh? You can have many altars in active working at a time. We have an altar in the kitchen at Weirdbrook, one of the sanctuaries of our coven where I co steward, for when we're preparing food. Its purpose is to deepen our relationship with how we eat and to honor the sacrifices involved in our nutrition. It's in the very center of the kitchen island and has a candle made by a witch in our coven, a book of matches, a bowl for spent matches, and a giant, joyous goddess statue made by one of our mamas. Everything we need for this ritual. Before meal preparation, we start music on the record player, take 3 deep breaths, and light the candle. The altar has been turned on. We dance and sing while we cook, sharing the work as we go. When the meal is ready, we turn off the music, extinguish the candle, and the altar remains for the next working. The possibilities for variations are endless when you give yourself permission to improvise. I could write a whole book of altar working ideas. Actually, I already have. The Spellcrafters Guild has a different altar working suggestion for every month that's in alignment with the season and the expansion of our relationship with our magical practice. It's an integral ally in our tradition. Tools of your craft. Tools, wands, athames, chalices, you name it, serve a similar function to altars. They're not strictly necessary, but damn, they can be powerful. What makes it a tool truly powerful is its story. How is it made? Who made it? What materials went into its creation? These questions aren't trivial. They're opportunities to forge a deeper relationship with the tool itself. When you carve a wand from a branch that fell during a storm, you're weaving the story of that storm, the resilience of the tree, and the care you took in crafting it. If you acquire a tool from another craftsperson, the relationship with that creator becomes a part of the tool's energy, weaving their intentions into your practice. For me, it's essential that everything in my magical practice carries meaning. I also have deep and meaningful relationships with the artisans who crafted the tools I didn't make myself. These relationships are not transactions, they're collaborations. Their energy and craft merge with my intention, creating tools that are alive with purpose. The goal isn't just to have something beautiful, though they are in fact stunning. It's to have something meaningful, something connected. When I pick up my wand, I feel the storm that shaped the branch, the tree's resilience, and the hours of careful work I put into carving it. That connection enhances its power. The more meaning I infuse into my tools, the more time I spend interacting with them, the more aligned we become with each other's energy, amplifying the workings and polarizing my incarnation. Do you see how this approach to acquiring tools of your craft is in stark contrast to the disconnection of capitalism in our magical practice? Sure, you can buy a mass produced replica of a Harry Potter wand from Amazon these days, but scale out a bit, cousin. Look at how many high control companies with problematic business practices you just invested in. You can't cleanse away your responsibility for ethically resourcing your magical tools. Take your time. The journey is a part of the story that influences the depth of power you're able to wield with any given instrument. Ceremonial garments. There's something transformative about donning ceremonial garments, an opportunity to add even more layers of significance that influence the efficacy of your ceremonial work. To wear a ceremonial garment is to step into a story of your choosing, whether it's a hand-sewn cloak or a scarf imbued with memories. It transforms your physical expression of your truth, a tangible reminder that you are the living bridge between the mundane and the sacred. These garments don't have to be elaborate, though if you want to rock a full-length cloak, go off, cousin, I most certainly do. What matters is how they make you feel. I've reached a point where my everyday garments are sacred. Just about everything I wear I've made myself, reclaimed from discard or gifted from loved ones. Each piece carries intention. Even fabric holds meaning. This isn't about aesthetics. Okay, it's a little bit about aesthetics. I'm a retired fashion designer. My son is in Taurus. It's more about connection. When I put on a garment for a ritual, it's not just clothing, it's an invocation. It helps me shed the masks of the mainstream world and step fully into my most powerful expression. Whether it's a simple shawl, a necklace, or a robe that makes me feel like I could summon a storm, the garment becomes part of the spell work. It's a reminder to my whole being of who I am and that I'm entering sacred space. The act of wearing ceremonial garments also engages our sensory and emotional systems, deepening our connection to the work. Oftentimes, the group rituals I write include suggested attire. The costume suggestion that require a costume suggestion that requires internal reflection that supports the ceremonial working. For example, for the spring equinox ritual rave, we have everyone come dressed as someone their child self would have clocked as a hero. We dance as champions for our inner children as we call in the new season. Do you see how the attire adds significant depth to the magic being woven? Psychology teaches us that embodied practices, like rituals involving movement, texture, and sound, anchor us in the present moment. By dressing for ritual, we align our physical and energetic bodies, amplifying the power of our intention. Cooperation or control. When we view altars, tools, and garments as collaborators instead of objects to be mastered or discarded, we fully shift our polarity toward connection and collaboration. This choice transforms what societal systems of control taught us to see as disposable into opportunities for profound transformation. Every time we choose to approach these items with reverence and presence, we create a more compassionate world. While magical work can be done entirely in astral dimensions or internal sacred spaces, holding both the physical and spiritual aspects of our incarnation simultaneously amplifies the influence of our workings. These elements, when engaged with intentionally, help us maintain our multidimensional awareness. A chalice held with purpose, a wand directing intent, or a garment that transforms your mindset all enhance the clarity of this connection, removing the distortion of control. The physical becomes a mirror for the spiritual, reflecting back the depth of our engagement and amplifying the resonance of our power. Components of spellcrafting. After decades of active practice and exploration in witchcraft, I've created a basic structure for my magical workings. A series of steps that, when woven into the process, when crafting a spell, ceremony, or ritual for something, gives the most effective results. What gets my system to where we need to be in order to best support the flow of our influence. As a witch born of shadow, it is our practice to explore and expand our personal relationship with each one of these steps, not just so that our personal workings are more effective, but because our ability to advocate for our system within community, magic really matters. Preparing your system for magical workings. An effective practice as a witch born of shadow inherently begins with the relationship you have with yourself. That's why the very first step in any magical work is preparing your internal system. Think of this as assembling your dream team, checking in with your body, spirit, and mind, ensuring that all are aligned and ready to throw down some serious magic. When every expression of you shows up fully supported, your workings are transformed. It's the difference between rowing upstream and riding the flow of the river. Let's break this down to its essentials, because as the advocate or consciousness of your internal system, it's your job to make sure everyone on the team has what they need. And believe you me, when they're on point, worlds shift. First up, your physical body. You know, the part of you that gets to lug around your brilliant cosmic consciousness. They've got needs, pretty basic ones, like food, water, and rest. Shocking, right? And yet, how many times have you tried to manifest your dreams on an empty stomach, half a pot of coffee, and 3 hours of sleep? Exactly. Your body isn't just a vehicle for your spirit. They're a repository of ancestral wisdom. They carry the stories, resilience, and power of your lineage. and they're willing to share that magic with you if you treat them like a partner instead of a meat suit. Start with the basics. Eat something nourishing. Maybe not the fifth cup of coffee from the vending machine special. Think protein, hydration, and something green that didn't come out of a box. Drink water. Yes, water. That magical elixir that makes up most of your body. If hydration is life, why are you avoiding it like the plague? Rest. How can you expect to bend time and space or connect with the divine when your body is so tired and overstimulated you can't even remember if you ate lunch? Even if you don't have time for a nap, pause, breathe. Let your body know you're paying attention. Prove it. When your body feels safe and supported, they'll meet you in the ritual space like an eager collaborator, bringing the wisdom of countless generations with them. Start by creating space. What's taking up your headspace right now? If unresolved drama with your ex is hogging the mental bandwidth, your spell to manifest the life of your dreams might take a detour to their inbox. Not ideal. Here's what works for me: journaling. Get the swirling thoughts out of your head and onto paper. It's like clearing your desk before starting a project. Talking it out. If journaling isn't your jam, vent to someone you trust. Even your cat will do. They're surprisingly good listeners, though admittedly pretty judgy about it. Centering practices. Meditation, mindfulness, or even a few deep breaths. This isn't about forcing a clear mind. It's about giving your thoughts a place to flow intentionally until they run their course. Your attention flavors your magic. If your focus is tangled up in anxiety or distraction, your workings will reflect that. But when your mind is present and engaged, it becomes a force multiplier, adding depth and clarity to your practice. Think of this preparation like tuning an instrument before playing a symphony. The tuning is an act of devotion to the sounds you want to elicit, to the music that moves within you that you want to share. Performing on an instrument that's out of tune skews the meaning away from the internal system, from the intention. The same is true when you dive into a magical working without first aligning your internal system. It still may work to some degree. Others may not notice it's a bit off, but it is not the full breadth of the message. When you take the time to prepare your internal system, you're not just setting the stage for a magical working. You're building trust with yourself. You're saying to your body, mind, and spirit, I've got you. We're in this together. And that trust amplifies everything. Effective witchcraft isn't about speed either. Emergency magic isn't really a thing outside of Hollywood, cousin. It's about alignment. It's about creating a foundation where your energy flows freely and your intentions can take root. And that starts here with you, your team, and the relationships you cultivate within yourself. So before your next working, pause, breathe, check in with your team. Make sure everyone is nourished, supported, and present, because when you show up for yourself, you create a space where transformative magic isn't just possible, it's inevitable. And this is a stopping point. Of course, I can always keep going, but the next part that we're getting into is grounding, different grounding practices for neurodivergent black sheep cycle breaking queerdos. Ocean is joining me today. Maria is here as well. And we are here to answer any questions that you might have. Whoa. Ooh, I think Sarsaparilla just joined us as well. Hey, Sass.
Yeah.
Hello, hello. Okay. So, do we have any questions?
We do have one question
Oh,
from Helvey. If I don't make the tools myself, I usually buy them from flea markets. Do you think there is some forces, or what would be a right word, in previously owned things? So about like cleansing thrift store items and secondhand stuff.
I love this so much because my take on it is a little different than what you hear most of the time. You hear the rhetoric about always cleanse everything that you get secondhand and blah, blah. I don't believe in blast cleansing things. And in fact, most of the stuff at Weirdbrook was acquired through estate sales, auctions, things like that. Okay. When you go looking for magical tools, you're looking not just for the aesthetics, you're looking for the energetics of it. Does it feel powerful? If you find something that doesn't feel like it feels kind of off, um, that off feeling could be it telling you it doesn't want to work with you. And so forcing that connection, saying, I'm just going to cleanse it. I'm just going to delete its history, remove from it something I don't understand so that it fits what I need. Right. So sometimes, you know, the forces that are already within an object, its stories are not aligned for you. Sometimes when you get something, it just, when it is aligned for you, it's exciting. It feels exciting. It's like perfect. It feels like you found a treasure, right? That's what I would recommend doing. I get most I rarely like purchase things that are new. I don't see a point. There's so much that's already made, right? Um, but I will rarely cleanse something. Rare that I do that. It's got to ask for it, right? Does anyone else want to chime in on it?
I can chime in. Hello, everybody. Same sentiments, just adding that I don't follow any particular set of rules, and therefore following the excitement, like Jen Marie said, is more important to connect with an item. And also what I see a lot online just about cleansing and things like that, I find to be tiring. Like I'm not going to commit to that process because it for me it's like more discouraging to follow all of those rules, and so I really rely on my intuition. With that said, what has worked for me is I have an integration table. I pointed because it's over there. I have an integration table. So when I bring something new into my space, I have this holding space for integration into the space where I'm kind of getting to know it and where it's getting familiar with my space. So I'm not erasing the previous energetics of that. Now integrating it into what we're going to be doing together. And so that's how I do that. And it then also gives me time to feel into the object as well. There's that first initial interaction, and then it gives us time to get to know each other. So that's how I've been doing that process, and it's been working for me. Um, and there might be times where I feel, called to use smoke or water or other things, but it's more for me as an energetic reset. The For me, and working with Jen Marie and talking about what does it mean to cleanse? Why do we do it? It seems to me that the idea of that comes from a lot of, not all of it, but some of it comes from a fear-based perspective of like something bad is going to happen if I don't do that. And I don't subscribe to that. So I don't engage in the practice for like fear that something bad will happen or something may go awry because I didn't cleanse it. I find it super interesting that it has a history. We all have a past, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Anybody else?
I
Great
like your
question, Helvi.
magical waiting room, Maria.
Yeah, it's just a station. It's like a little table. Again, it's over there. It's a little table. Go ahead, Sarsaparilla.
That's a great idea. I love it. Um, I'm going to not speak long because I agree with everything that has been shared so far. Um, and as far as like cleansing, two things I was thinking of, like when I bought my house, um, and I felt into my home, like I didn't cleanse my house or anything before I moved in because my house was so good, right? Like when I felt into it, it was such a good vibe. It was such I mean, this house chose me. And so I feel like if I had done that, like what could I have lost in that, in setting that intention, right? Like I'm so glad that, I just followed my intuition because at that point, it was like 10 or 12 years ago, my practice was very different. But I just went with my intuition and I didn't do it. And now looking back, I'm like super glad that I did it that way. But um, a reset is part of my morning practice before I sit down to journal. I like the smoke as part of just setting the space. And so I have sort of changed, not sort of, I have changed my incantation every morning when I'm cleansing the space and I'm cleansing myself. In cleansing, I'm using, for a lack of a better word, but I just say, I am free from all energies, narratives, and social conditioning that no longer support my path, right? So that anything that I still need that is for me could stay. And then anything that I might be holding on to, I need to let go. And that can be interpreted in all kinds of ways and which ways that's going to go. But that's my daily practice with, like I said, cleansing, for lack of a better word. So that's all I have.
I don't have any more questions, so
Well, aren't you guys chatty today? It's okay. You don't have to be. You don't have to be. We can just stare at each other, see how long we can go. How long is it going to take for someone to get uncomfortable enough to say something?
Is that a challenge?
Maybe.
I literally just thought it's going to be Maria. When is Maria
very
going to
fancy
do it?
lost.
Oh, guys, let's make it weird. See, and this is one of the reasons why I've been reading a little bit longer is so I read through the Grimoire the first time, and then I edited the Grimoire based on the questions that I was asked throughout the Grimoire. And I'm noticing that there are less questions. And for me, that means that I'm actually answering the questions as I'm reading. That's exciting for me. Experiences with what was just read. Oh, my brain just went because we read a lot.
Yeah, does anything in particular stick out to you, Helvi, that you wanted to hear about?
Because, yeah. Mm, mm, mm. I am currently working on like a spellcraft worksheet, like a worksheet that's fillable for crafting your own rituals, your own like magical workings based on the system that I'm outlining in the grimoire. I don't know why I'm pointing in that direction. My laptop is here. Um, but That's what I'm currently working on. I think it's going to be a cool tool. I like creating tools to help magical practitioners. That's what I've been doing the last like almost 3 years when I stepped back from working with new brooms, because what happened was I was working with a bunch of new brooms and kept getting asked the same questions over and over and over again for a couple of years. And uh, Maria and Ocean and everyone else hounded me about writing a book. Like they workbooks, book, all those things. So I that's what I did is step back, wrote the grimoire, rewrote all of the foundations curriculum and the curriculum for the guild. The guild is our coven. So that we could have these tools so that when I am engaging with you guys, we're able to do a lot more work. We're able to go a lot deeper than what I was able to do before without these like study on your own kind of tools. It's one of the things that one of the many things that I'm so excited about in stepping back into kind of the thing that I do is that what's possible like with these tools. All these witches that are unbound now didn't have those tools, and look at where they are. What's possible if you do have them, right? That's exciting to me. That's exciting to me because it feels like there's it feels like there's a I get the feeling like we're about to like open an event, you know, the beginning of event. If you've ever done like shows and things like that, that excitement of hundreds of people waiting outside to come in. You can feel the thrum. That's what it feels like right now, that there's hundreds, if not thousands of witches just waiting at that threshold for the doors to open. That they've just been waiting for this. That's what it feels like right now. And that is exciting to me. I cannot wait to meet you for one, but to see what you're capable of.
I like to share when we get asked these questions about our practice, like what you do, particularly for, say, cleansing. There's lots of great information out there, and there are a lot of people following a specific tradition or a specific path, and those types of things might be outlined in whatever path or tradition you're following. What we can offer you here at Bright and Dark is no matter what path you're engaging with, offer a connection-based perspective, highlighting the maybe deconstruction work that you want to engage with and aligning maybe with more of a group of witches presenting a matriarchal, society. But what we're doing can be incorporated into anything that you're doing. I wanted to share that. And we're so used to the conditioning that we've all experienced on various levels really deeply, even subconsciously, that there is one way to do things or a best way to do things, a more powerful way to do things. And that's not true. The best way to do it is whatever way you want to do it, and that feels exciting to you. And we as a community can help support and encourage and riff off each other and give ideas about different things. But there is no way, there is no one way to do magic. That is a lie. That is
and
a
it's
false
boring.
narrative.
How boring would that be?
And of course, I feel like, when we are talking about things, it's understandable if this is your first time engaging with magic, that you might feel nervous and you're looking for something a sounding board or something to go off of. And that's completely understandable. And there's lots of great information out there. So whatever you're excited about or engaging with, the grimoire can only help expand your practice and add to what you're doing and offering a perspective that is connected and yes, all of the things, but it's connected, it's deconstructed. I mean, I just keep saying the same thing, so.
Yeah. It's okay, Maria.
Can I go ahead
too,
and can I answer Helvy's comment here? It's sort of a question, but I wouldn't mind sharing if that's okay.
Yes.
That was wondering about hearing about my magical morning routine and wondering what was in it. And I would really love to share. It's something I do pretty much every day. And it was born out of desperation years ago now when, my life is full. I am a mother of a child with a lot of needs and a caregiver and a business owner and, in bright and dark. And so I found it hard without a routine to access my practice. And I really wanted it to be like the main central focus of my life. And so I started getting up an hour earlier than I had to get up every single day to devote to my practice and to set my day with that intention, to start my day off with that practice. And so every morning I get up, I get my coffee, manage the dogs, and then I sit at my secretary desk that was my great grandmother's. And I sit in my rocking chair that my mother rocked me in. And then I rocked my daughter in. And I have my daily morning altar all set up on the secretary desk. And I do, I call it my prayer candle every morning. I focus on gratitude and what I want to call in for the day. And then I, light this candle and a little bit of candle magic to start the day. I do some sort of like a cleansing, if you will, thing, whether it's incense, whether it's a different herb or Palo Santo or something. And then I journal. I journal a lot. I actually read my journals from the last couple of years, which is wild to see. My evolution is just really amazing to see. So I highly recommend journaling, and I highly recommend dating your shit, like Jen Marie says. Very, very wise words, because I'm able to, I go back 1 year to about 3 or 4 years every morning that I'm able to look back at my practice and what's going on in my life. And then I do a card pull, just one, to point my attention in whatever direction the day needs. And that's my morning practice. And it's just a beautiful way to set the tone. It's not, some days it's 5 minutes and some days it's a lot longer. Some days I journal 3 sentences and some days it's 8 pages. It really depends on a lot of different things, but I don't set any expectations for myself. I let that morning practice unfold exactly as it should every day to start my day. So that's my morning practice. Thanks, Helmy.
I wanted to touch a little bit more on like grimoires and data collection. Because lots of reasons, right? Do you keep a grimoire, guys? I'm not talking to the Unbound. I know they do, but I'm talking to you, Witch. Do you keep a grimoire? Or do you get a bunch of journals that are really beautiful and you don't touch any of them because you don't want to mess them up and you don't really know what information do you put in your grimoire even, right? That's a problem. That is a really, 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 really common problem. And like I said before, one of the things I really, really love doing is creating tools to support witches. And in fact, we're about to launch one of those tools that's going to help you with that process right there. Sarsaparilla has been one of the witches that have helped with this revolutionary tool that's hard to describe because it kind of checks so many of the boxes of data collection for neurodivergent witches born of shadow, witches that are walking this path. And what we did is we took the curriculum that we use in foundations. It's called The Path of a Witch Born of Shadow. And we created, there's 13 interactive print on demand workbooks that function like grimoires, that have pages that is structured that you actually fill out. It's kind of it acts like a day planner slash junk journal with prompted entries. So we actually ask you the questions that you're going to want the answers to in a few years when you look back on your data collection. We have daily there these each of these workbooks is like 100 pages long. You have every day you're able to open up a page and there's all of your data collection points. How much water did you drink? What was the weather? How much sleep did you get last night? What phase of the moon is going on right now? All of those things are important data points for you to create a magical practice that supports actually where you are. So if you look back and you're able to uh, see that, oh, when the moon phases in this like thing, I don't sleep during like the 3/4 waning moon. I never sleep on the 3/4 waning moon. And then you can start actually building your life around your system. So you plan for it. I know I don't sleep when the moon is in this way. So I'm going to support myself better, right? Just an example of that. If you notice, I don't hydrate my body enough. Like clearly, if you look back and you're seeing, when I don't hydrate my body, my emotions are all over the place, right? That's all really important information about our systems and the way that we function. And so that's going to be off. We're going to offer that, start that. The plan is to launch it at harvest, right? Of course, because we're witches about it. So September, October is what it's set to launch. But here's the other facet of this, is that these books are fucking beautiful. They're beautiful. And so it kind of ticks that aesthetics kind of thing that we all love. So when you open the books and you're engaging with the pages, it pings those sensory bits as well. We're very proud of this. And once we launch the Path of a Witch Born of Shadow, that curriculum, the next thing that we're doing is launching the Path of the Adept, which is the curriculum that we use with our coven. And this is curriculum like we spend a whole month just on grounding practices. We spend a whole month just on our relationship with presence, right? And cultivating presence as a coven together. So, and each of these workbooks can be standalone as well. If you're like, hey, I want to work on my relationship with my inner child, there's a full 30-day embodiment like workbook to do that if you want to do it that way. So it's very exciting. And did I mention that they're beautiful? Yeah. And this is I was able to talk to the witch that did the cover art for my grimoire, and they agreed to do the cover art for all of the workbooks too. So I am so excited about that. Big thanks to Renee, who did such a great job on the cover of the grimoire. And it's very exciting that she's going to be doing the cover art for the workbooks as well. She's in our coven. Yeah. So yeah, guys, you're allowed to get excited about it. This project we've been working on in the back end for what, 2.5 years now? I think it's been 2.5 years. Everyone that is currently enrolled in foundations has access to the content that we're using in the workbooks through the app space that we have. The app has a digital version that you're able to engage with. So we'll be able to have both here very soon. Cool, huh? Yeah, I know.
Someone asked if there's still private sessions available, and there are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can still book private sessions with me. I have my private sessions are open, I think, right now on the website. And I actually opened my schedule too. It was limited for a long time. My schedule was really limited for a long time because I've been working on these tools. And we're working on all this stuff on the back end. And also that day planner is available outside of foundations. That was really important to us that we make this content available to anyone who's needing the help. And so, yes, as well as once we get the path of the adept, so the curriculum that we use with our coven, once we get that, we intend to make that available to the public as well, which is unheard of for covens to be like, here, this is what our coven does. But this work is important for all of us. Even solitary practitioners. It's designed, we created it for solitary practitioners as well. So it is definitely standalone. Oh, hi, Renee. Speaking of Renee, did you hear us talking about you, you psychic witch, you?
If you are part of community.brightanddark.org, which is our app space available through an app or on the web, you'll have all the updates and the most up-to-date information. So please join us there. The private sessions are linked there too, but they're scheduled through our website, which is brightanddark.org. And I just wanted to share maybe one final thought, because we are a modern, witches living in this 2026 year. There are a lot of ways to incorporate what you already do day to day into a magical practice. And that question gets asked a lot too, but if you drink coffee or tea, there's a way to make that part of a ritual magic, stirring intentions. You can even make brushing your teeth magical, and you really can incorporate. So I just wanted to kind of say that these tools are all wonderful, but the most important thing is that you figure out what works for you and make it, we're offering these tools, but ultimately you make it your own as well, and incorporating it into your life so that you can make it a practice. And that's something that I struggled with. And that's why I wanted to share it. I thought I had to look a certain way. I thought I had to, change everything. But really, for me, the best starting place was looking at what I was already doing to start and how I could incorporate my magic into that and building from there. So I just wanted to share that so you can participate in any way.
I want to answer Elementalist said, will be great to have resource I can use out of order for the Southern Hemisphere. Yeah, we see you. Like I have been talking about the Southern and Northern Hemisphere, which is how our practices are different, and how anyone from the Southern Hemisphere currently engaging in foundations, walking the path of a witch born a shadow, is doing it backwards. You're doing it out of season, and that's not fair to you. But we don't have the resources or witches. We don't have any unbound witches in the Southern Hemisphere yet. So we don't have anyone that can take on a cycle of witches that cater to the Southern Hemisphere yet. We're very much aware of that and are not desperately calling in witches that feel called to becoming unbound. which is a minimum 3-year process. But we're not desperate about it. Like, we know that it's a problem. And when we post the workbooks on the website, we will have indicators of this is for, this month in the Southern Hemisphere and this month in the Northern Hemisphere, because it is different. This work is seasonal. The workings that we do in these interactive workbooks is aligned with the season that you are in. And so, yeah. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. And also Helvey says, I'm kind of struggling with how much time I need to use on foundations while the work is also draining. Foundations is an intense process. It's one of the reasons why it's so well supported. The first 3 months of foundations is grueling because you are completely reorienting yourself and getting into the cadence of something very different, and it feels heavier. That will lighten up. That will lighten up. It won't feel so difficult or challenging. And in fact, you're going to get to the point where you're going to be excited to engage. It'll be you show up and it feels like weight is lifted off of you. And that's why you engage. But that first 3 months does not feel like sunshine and rainbows. It feels like tissues, a lot of tissue, and a lot of like drinking a lot of water. Yeah, it is draining. It is hard. And I'm very proud of you for doing the hard thing, but I can also tell you it's gonna get easier. It's just these first few months. You've done so much crying. Yeah, right. I know. Yeah. There's a lot of tears that have been like held down for a long time. Emotions are effervescent, and for many of us, we've been kind of like a pressure cooker all our lives, about to explode. So there's a lot of letting some steam off in the beginning too. Ta-da! It is 5:55 here on the East Coast of the United States of Embarrassment. And we're about to close out this working for this week. Gentle reminder that once we get through the Grimoire, we read to the end, we're not going to be meeting on these Wednesday nights for this strange little book club, because I'm going to like direct my attention back to working with new brooms and helping magical practitioners develop a deeper and more meaningful relationship with themselves, their magic, and community. Thank you so much for all of your questions. Thank you for spending your Wednesday evening in this strange little book club with all of these wonderful weirdos. I'm looking forward to engaging with you more. I think I'll see you the next time I see you. The next time I will see you, unless you are enrolled in one of the programs, I'll see you on Friday at our live divination ceremony, where we ask where our attention needs to be in order to bring the most expansion in our relationship with our life and our practice. You all have a wonderful evening, and we wish you many blessings, bright and dark. And if you cannot be good at it. Bye, witches.